Hare Krishna. Very happy and grateful to be amidst all of you all here once again. Welcome all of you to the Applied Bhagavatam classes. We will chant our prayers and begin our session. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Rama Ramo Hare 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 Krishna. I'd like to welcome all of you to the Applied Bhagavatam classes. We are on the third canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and today we'll be discussing the seventh chapter of the third canto, and the overall theme of this discussion is going to be 5 secrets to solidify bhakti. This is based on a discussion between Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. And in that discussion, Vidura raises many questions, which Maitreya answers. And the entire structure of this chapter happens to focus on these 5 things. And if you understand these 5 secrets that Maitreya Vidura Samvad is going to reveal to us, it will really help all of us in our own journey of spirituality, in our own journey of sadhana bhakti, and in our own journey of trying to find our goal, which is Krishna Prem. So let us, with this intention and with this thought, begin the session. So Shukadeva Goswami begins the chapter by telling Parikshit Maharaj that when Vidura met Maitreya Rishi, he expressed a request by asking Maitreya a series of questions. Vidura asked Maitreya, the first question he asked is, O great Brahmana, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a complete spiritual whole and is unchangeable, how is he connected with the material modes of nature and their activities? If this is his pastime, how do the activities of the unchangeable take place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature? So Vidura's questions are very simple. I'll just put it to you in very simple words. His questions are, the Lord is Chinmatarasya, which means he is completely spiritual, and he is Nirgunasya, that means he is transcendental, he does not have any material qualities. But how can he be connected to the material gunas? Just like children are impelled by the desire to play, the Lord does not have any desire. How and why does he create, maintain and destroy? If he has no desire, why does he do it? And then Vidura's next question is, how does the Atma, which is pure, get engaged in nescience, which is mundane stuff? How does the living entity suffer in spite of having the Lord within his own heart? So all these questions, Vidura puts it together to Maitreya, and Maitreya gives a one sutra answer. Maitreya says, he essentially, in essence, the simple way of putting it, Maitreya says, is that misidentification is the reason why the Atma suffers in this world, And though he has the Lord within his heart, he does not understand, or he falls into ignorance. And that misunderstanding or that misidentification has to be overcome through knowledge. So let's begin this discussion by chanting the first verse, which Maitreya is speaking over here, rather the second verse. Yad arthena vinamusya pumsa atma viparyaya pratiyata upadarastu swa shirash chedanadika. It says, Maitreya Rishi is saying, the living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background, like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off. Whenever a living entity is suffering, Maitreya Rishi is saying it is simply a dream that he is suffering in. So just like when we go to sleep at night, we have many dreams. And in some of the dreams, they are very dangerous dreams where somebody is chasing us, somebody is cutting off our head, maybe a snake is biting us, or we're running away from some enemy. So it might be so many crazy dreams that we have. What is the solution for all those dreams? Simply wake up. The moment you wake up, the dream changes. The dream ceases to exist. So similarly, someone who is suffering in this world, that person has to simply wake up to his real identity. Maitreya gives another examples. He says, Yatha jale chandramasya kampades krito guna drishyate san api drashtur atmano anatmana guna. So he says, as he gives another beautiful example, he says, as a moon is reflected upon waters, appears to the seer to tremble due to being associated with the quality of the water, so the self associated with matter appears to be qualified as matter. So the analogy is very simple. When you see the moon in the air, in the sky, the moon is very stable. You don't find the moon trembling. But when you see the same moon reflecting in water, the water trembles. That's the quality of water. That's the nature of water. And just as the water trembles, the moon also seems to be trembling. But that's not the real moon. That's simply a reflection of what is there, what is the real moon. Similarly, when the self, which is compared to the moon, the self is very stable. The Atma is a very stable entity. But when that Atma is associating with matter, which is compared to water, when the Atma that is associating with matter, you look at the state of the Atma, it seems to be in suffering condition. But actually, that's not the Atma. The Atma is very stable. The moment you overcome this misidentification through knowledge, you immediately become stable. To help us understand this, I'm going to start by discussing a very beautiful conversation between Krishna and Gandhari in the Mahabharata. Actually, post the Mahabharata war, when Gandhari goes back to the spiritual world, to the heavenly planets, and Krishna is about to depart from this world, the last phase of Krishna's life, Krishna remembers a few people. And one of the many people that Krishna remembers is Gandhari. And the reason Krishna remembers Gandhari is because she is obviously one of the people that cursed Krishna so that his Yadava dynasty gets destroyed. And Krishna has just seen the destruction of the entire Yadu dynasty. And at that point, there is a beautiful conversation between Gandhari and Krishna, which one Sri Vaishnava Acharya brings out in a very beautiful way. And through this conversation, there are one or two points that I would like to focus on, which is apt for this particular discussion that we are having. So Gandhari is asking Krishna a question, which is connected with nescience. And that's the reason I'm bringing this question up. Just like I was saying, the Atma identifies with matter too much, it behaves materially. So similarly, Gandhari's sons, Duryodhan, etc., they behaved very materially, right? So Gandhari has some questions to ask Krishna, who is God at this point in time. So if you get to have a conversation with God, and you can ask these frank questions. So probably some of our questions might sound like how Gandhari is speaking. So Gandhari is asking that, my dear Krishna, why didn't you choose to give my children wisdom and the ability to think good thoughts? You are the force that inspires people to think good and do good. Why, why did you not, inspire them to have good thoughts? You're within the heart as Paramatma. You could have easily done that. Krishna, he gives a very beautiful answer. He says, people do activities according to their proclivities. They gather the outcome of those activities. He says, it's not my job to inspire people to do good. If I were to do that, then I would practically be a dictator. That means I'm controlling everything and everyone. And I would really become unpopular, and people will actually accuse me of being unkind because I'm not allowing people to do what they want to do. I live in people's hearts and I propel them to do different deeds, but it is a responsibility of the beings to follow it or not follow it. In everyone's heart, I'm giving direction, but there are some people who follow my direction and some people who don't follow my direction. So Krishna is telling Gandhari that if people follow my advice, who is responsible? Am I responsible or are they responsible? If they follow my advice, they are responsible. If they don't follow my advice also, they are only responsible. So Gandhari is asking Krishna, why would you give such freedom? Why do you give such freedom to the living entities? And because at the moment you give freedom to them, you're also attaching responsibilities to their actions. So why don't you just give them any freedom? Just tell them to do things that you want them to do. Why are you giving freedom? Krishna, he smiles and he tells Gandhari, only if you are God, you'll understand my problem. And then he tells her that a sentient being can experience freedom. But when the sentient being uses the power given appropriately, that's when the sentient being is carrying out things according to my will. But if a sentient being does not know how to utilize power according to the way I have given it, it is good if the sentient being gives back that power to me. And when you surrender and just follow my instructions, don't question me, that is called surrender. So if you are unable to utilize that power, return that power to me. That is surrender. When you surrender, just follow my instructions and don't question me. If you want to retain the freedom, you must realize that responsibilities come along with that freedom. If when you're holding on to the responsibilities, or rather holding on to your freedom, but you're doubting the Ishvara, doubting God without surrendering, it causes ignorance and it binds you in a cycle of karma. So Krishna tells Gandhari, I would have saved your children if they were committed to protecting dharma. But those who are not committing to protect dharma, he said, I can't take responsibility for them. Krishna, what is it trying to tell us through this discussion on Gandhari? Krishna trying to tell us something very simple. The Atma is a part of God. And being a part of God, we have a lot of power. But with power comes a lot of responsibility also. A lot of people in this world, when they are given that freedom and that power, they misuse that responsibility, misuse that power, and forget their responsibilities and become a disgrace to God. But there are some people who realize that I have power, but I don't know how to use it well. They surrender their power to God and follow whatever God says. And by surrendering their power to God, they're actually becoming instruments in the hand of God. And then there are others who take that power and completely mess with that power, and they perform adharmic activities. So Krishna is trying to tell us something very simple. There is a lot of darkness in this world, but this world needs more light. The world needs more people who are ready to surrender their freedom, surrender their powers at the shelter of God, at the feet of God, and take up the responsibility of instructions and following the instructions of God and the spiritual master. When the self associates with matter, we behave very materially. That's what Maitreya is saying over here. Atmano anatmana gunaha. That means Atmano means the Atma, we. Anatmanaha means behaving materially. Anatmanaha means not like Atma. Gunaha means qualities. So basically, you are the Atma, but you're behaving not like the Atma, and that it's causing a rift. So that so that means we are material. We are in the material body, but we are spiritual beings. And this misidentification. So when we start connecting with matter more than the spirit, we start behaving materially, and that material behavior causes a lot of disturbance around us, and that causes us to behave in such material ways that we cause harm to everybody else. And that is when we need knowledge the most, because we are surrounded by ignorance, we are surrounded by darkness, we are surrounded by science. Here is a very beautiful story that will help us understand this. One time in the court of Lord Brahma in Satyaloka, the sages and the devatas were sitting together. And in that assembly, there was a discussion. Is Mahalakshmi the greatest, or is Saraswati the greatest? As the discussion was going on between them, all the devatas and the sadhus, they together decided Mahalakshmi is the greatest, is the supreme. And Brahma was a judge for this whole discussion, and he agreed. Saraswati got wild when she saw Brahma speak like this. Husband not taking her side but taking the side of Mahalakshmi. She became furious. There was another discussion that followed just immediately after this one. The discussion was, which of the rivers is the greatest? Is Ganges the greatest, or is Saraswati the greatest? Saraswati felt maybe this time Brahma would side her. And after the whole discussion was over, eventually Ganga was declared to be more superior than Saraswati, and Brahma said yes to that also. And Saraswati got upset. She said, I don't want to live with you anymore, and I don't want to live with someone who considers me to be inferior compared to other goddesses. And not just other goddesses, you also consider me inferior to compared to other rivers. Saying like this, she left from Brahma's abode. So Brahma had, at that point in time, in that era, he had planned to perform a yajna, and he obviously now, with his wife absent, he was not able to conduct the yajna. So Saraswati thought that in the absence of me, Brahma will not be able to conduct the yajna, and then he'll come and say sorry to me, and then he will change his decision. But Brahma instead, he chose to perform in the yajna along with his other wives, Savitri and Gayatri, in the absence of Saraswati. And Saraswati went into height of anger, and she arrived at that yajna where the yajna was going on, and she told Brahma, because you are ignoring me and you're continuing to perform this yajna along with Savitri and Gayatri, how is this yajna going on? She challenged. And Brahma said, I am doing this yajna for a higher cause, for the pleasure of the Lord. In fact, you must be happy. But Saraswati got wild. She said, I'm going to destroy this yajna. At that point in time, seeing the anger of Saraswati, Brahma decided to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. And Saraswati used all her powers at that point in time to do as much chaos as possible to stop that yajna. Because at this point in time, Atmano Anatmana Gunaha. That's what was happening to her. So she is the Atma, spirit soul, which is servant of God, pure in nature, having spiritual qualities. But Anatmana Gunaha has entered into her. That means material qualities have entered into her, because she is thinking from a point of view of envy, she's thinking from the point of view of superiority, she's thinking from the point of view of greatness. The moment you start comparing yourself with somebody else and you feel superior, you feel greater, it causes a lot of pain to yourself first. And then obviously that pain you transfer to the world. Saraswati here was going through so much pain, and she wanted to transfer that pain to everybody around her, including Brahma. And at that point of time, Saraswati, she plunged the entire world into darkness. By her power, she caused the moon and the sun to lose their light. and it became completely dark. The entire world became completely pitch dark, and Lord Brahma was in a struggle to even continue the yajna because they couldn't see anything at all, basically. And at that point of time, the Supreme Lord, hearing the prayers of Lord Brahma, he appeared in the form of a lamp. And that particular form of the Lord who appeared in the form of a lamp to allow that yajna to continue, he is known as Deepa Prakashar. So this is an incarnation of God in the form of a lamp, who has come to simply allow the world to have light when there is darkness all around us. So all of us, we are in situations like this, where we are trying to embark on a spiritual journey, but as we are embarking on a spiritual journey, material qualities enter into our hearts. Because though we are the spirit soul, Atma, we identify with matter, Anatmana. So because we are the Atma identifying with matter, we have qualities that are material in nature, gunaha. And because those qualities, material qualities manifest through us, our spiritual qualities don't manifest. And what is the solution for spiritual qualities to manifest in our lives? When there is darkness of material qualities, we need a lamp. And that lamp is knowledge. So Maitreya Rishi, through these beautiful analogies, he is giving us this first secret to perform bhakti very nicely, which is fill yourself with knowledge when you are in utter darkness. So the first secret to practice spiritual life, to practice your bhakti-mayi process very nicely, is to enthusiastically gain knowledge, which puts an end to darkness around us. So Maitreya Rishi continued his discussion by telling Vidura that he speaks about the second point that is very useful to go ahead in one's spiritual journey. So he says, Savai nivritti dharmena vasudevanukampaya bhagavad bhakti yogena tirodhatte sanairiha. He says, by that misconception, the self-identity can be diminished gradually by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva through the process of devotional service to the Lord in the mode of detachment. So Maitreya Rishi is telling, when we gain knowledge, by the power of that knowledge, the material qualities, the misidentification that we have will start going away, and the misidentification of us thinking that we are matter will go away and get replaced by the thought that we are spirit. And the moment that thought that we are spirit enters into us, the second thing that we need to do is engage in devotional service, which is the activity of the spirit soul. The activity of the spirit soul is to engage in devotional service. So then Krishna, he continues, Maitreya Rishi continues this discussion by saying that when the senses are satisfied in the seer, the super soul, the personality of Godhead, when the senses are satisfied in the seer, the super soul, the personality of Godhead, and merge in him, all miseries are completely vanquished, as after a sound sleep. So the words that Maitreya Rishi is using is samsupsta sevaya kritsnasa. So he says, the example that he gives is just to make it a little more practical for all of us. Suppose you're having a headache, a very intense headache. What do you need to do to overcome this headache? The simplest thing you need to do is go to sleep. Sleep for some time. When you get up, you will feel better. There are many problems in life. The solution of it is go to sleep. I'll tell you seriously, there are many complicated issues that come up in life, when you're facing it and you don't know how to deal with it, just try going to sleep. As soon as you sleep and get up after some time, you'll find yourself in a much better position to deal with the problem. And this is Bhagavatam. This is a verse in the Bhagavatam that is giving us the solution. And look at this. It says, when the senses are satisfied in the super soul, the personality of Godhead, and merge in Him, all miseries are completely vanquished, as after a sound sleep. So for many doctors and medical practitioners who are here, this is a very important verse to note down. So essentially, what Maitreya is trying to say is that service vanquishes misery. When senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, the moment your senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, all miseries are vanquished. That's what Maitreya is trying to say. So if you are miserable due to identification with the material body, due to misidentification or wrong identification, simply engage yourself in devotional service. And the moment you engage yourself in devotional service, because of knowledge that you have gained, and then you engage yourself in devotional service, then immediately the devotional service vanquishes all your miseries. Maitreya says, Ashesha Sanklesha Samam Vidatte Gunanuvada Shravanam Murare Kim va Punastak Charanaravinda Paraga Seva Ratiratma Labdha. He says, simply by chanting and hearing about the transcendental name, form, etc. of the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, one can achieve the cessation of unlimited miserable conditions. Therefore, what to speak of those who have attained attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet? So essentially, Maitreya Rishi is encouraging all of us that please engage in devotional service to the Lord. The moment you engage yourself in devotional service to the Lord in various forms, starting with Shravanam and Kirtanam, starting with hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord, immediately all miseries end. All the miseries in your life end. This is the second secret to practicing a solid bhakti. There was once a great acharya. He did something very interesting which probably has never been done in the history of the world before. This acharya, he was the fourth among the alvars. So he decided to organize a beauty contest among the incarnations of the Lord. So he invoked all the incarnations of the Lord for this beauty contest. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsingha, Vamana, Parashuram, Shriram, Balaram, Krishna, Kalki, all of them were called for this beauty contest. And in the first round of this beauty contest, they were all made to walk, and this Acharya was observing all of them in the beauty contest. And in the first round of the beauty contest, he rejected 3 incarnations. He rejected Matsya Avatar, Kurma Avatar and Varaha Avatar. He said, you're in animal form, fish, turtle and pig respectively. He says, you can't compete in this competition because this competition is only for human forms. So he sent them away. Narsingha Avatar, who was a lion head but a human body, he was allowed to go to the next round. Because he had half human form, directly this Alvar did not reject Narsingha Avatar. He allowed him to go to the second round. And in the second round, when the second round began, this great Acharya, he rejected Kalki Avatar. He said, first he rejected Vamana Avatar. He said, you are the one who came to Bali Maharaj for 3 steps of land. And when you came to him, you showed him a small foot. And you wanted to measure 3 steps of land so innocently. But the moment he agreed, your foot became so large in size, you changed your form completely. I don't trust you. You might change your form, while the beauty contest is on. In the middle of the contest, if you change your form, then what will I do? Therefore, I don't want to take a risk. You are rejected. So he rejected him from the second round. And then Parashuram came in the front. This Alvar said, I don't think you should participate in a beauty contest because you have a very angry face. You have an axe in your hand all the time. You're so angry. I don't think beauty contest will work for you. He rejected Parshuram also. And then he looked at Krishna and Balaram. He said, two people in one family cannot participate in the contest. So you decide which two, among the two of you all, Balaram and Krishna, which of you all will participate. Balaram voluntarily withdrew from the competition for the sake of Krishna, and Balaram went away. And then in the second round, he said, Kalki Avatar, I am rejecting you also, because you have not yet incarnated. When you incarnate in the future, and that time there is a beauty contest, that time you can participate. Right now you are not qualified to participate because you have not yet incarnated. So he rejected Kalki Avatar also. So finally, there were only three candidates left in the for the third round: Narsingh Avatar, Narsingh Dev, Ram, and Krishna. And all the three of them, this Acharya was examining, and he looked at all the three of them. He said, Narsingh Dev is beautiful. He said, Lord Ram is a perfect person, full of virtues. And undoubtedly, Krishna is the most handsome man because he enchanted the gopis like anything. But of the three of you, I select Narsingh Dev as the winner. Ram and Krishna were surprised. He said, Arey, how did you select Narsingh as a winner when we both are so handsome and so beautiful for a beauty contest? The Acharya gave a very beautiful explanation. The Acharya said, the one who helps us when we are in danger, he is the most beautiful person in our eyes. So when a devotee Prahlad was in danger, Narsingh Dev came immediately to save him. So he is beautiful. Who helps in danger, they are beautiful in our eyes. And therefore, when the Acharya was glorifying the beauty of Narsingh Dev, he began to speak so many amazing things about the beauty of Narsingh Dev's eagerness to protect his devotees. And then this Acharya called Narsingh Dev by a very beautiful name. He called him as Aragiya Singer. Singer refers to Singha or Narsingha basically. And the word Aragiya refers to someone who is very beautiful. This name Aragiya is not used for Ram and Krishna because they are already beautiful, so you don't have to actually give these names. So, and this name is specifically used only for Narsingh Dev. And also another very beautiful thing that is used for Narsingh Dev is he is called as Śrīman because goddess Lakshmi Devi is sitting on his lap. Usually Lakshmi is inside the chest of the Supreme Lord. She is in the form of Shivatsa Chinna in the chest of the Lord, and usually it is covered. But the only place where Lakshmi is sitting on the lap of the Lord is Narsingh Avatar. And therefore, this Acharya says these are two reasons why I consider Narsingh Dev. When we see the beautiful form of Narsingha, all our miseries are vanquished. So the first thing that we need to engage in devotional service is overcoming false identification by knowledge. The second thing that we need to engage, solidify our bhakti, is engage in the path of sadhana bhakti, engage in the process of sadhana bhakti, engage in the process of devotional service. That means use our senses in serving the Lord, seeing the beauty of the Lord, enjoying the beauty of the Lord, hearing about the glory of the Lord, speaking about the glory of the Lord. Use our senses in that way. And in that way, when we use our senses in glorifying Him, in appreciating Him, and in serving Him, we become solidified in our path of Krishna consciousness. There's a very beautiful story of Yayati who reached the heavens. So Yayati was a great king, and he did years and years of great tapasya and great amounts of charity, and he reached the heavenly planets. In fact, Yayati was so powerful and his merits were so great that not only did he reach the heavenly planets, but he got to sit on the seat of Indra in the heavens. So the Indra was already there. He became a little envious of Yayati. And he didn't like Yayati being there in the heavens and sitting on his own seat. So Indra just asked Yayati a question. He said, I have seen many kings come to the heaven, but I have not seen anyone sit on the same seat as me. He said, what did you do? What merits have you done to be sitting on the same seat as me? And Yayati, he said, I donated 1 crore cows in charity. And the 1 crore cows with golden horns. And no one in this earth had donated so many cows like me. The moment Yayati said that, he got off that seat, Indrasan, by 1 inch. He was, was pushed off the seat. Indra was amazed. He said, are you sure no one has donated like you as much as you? Yayati said, surely no one can surpass me in giving. The next moment, Yayati fell down from that seat. And he kept falling down lower and lower and lower till he came back to the earth planet. At that point of time, he fell at a place where his great grandson his grandson was performing a yajna. So when his grandson was performing the yajna and his grandfather reached over there, Yayati reached over there, Pradana, he asked Yayati, what happened, grandfather? You went to the heaven with so much glory. How come you have come back to the earth? You pushed down back to the earth. Yayati explained, I was there over there. Indra asked me a question and I showed off too much. Because I showed off, I was sent back down. Simple. If you show off too much of any good that you're doing, you lose the merit for that. So when you're doing any spiritual activities, don't show off to others. Whatever you're doing, devotional activities, it is for you and Krishna. Do not show it to anybody else. Whatever good, pious activities you're doing, you don't have to tell anybody else. You don't have to declare to the world that you're doing this. The moment you do that, you lose the merit for that. Especially when we are performing devotional services, it is important that we do not show off our devotional services. We do it in a spirit of love and we do it in a spirit of enthusiasm to please the Lord. This grandson of Yayati told him, you were thrown down by Indra because he didn't like you sharing his seat. Don't aspire for the heavens. He said, instead of that, take shelter of the Supreme Lord. He will never throw you out. And not only will he never throw you out from his abode, he will share his seat with you. He will not just share his seat, he will share his form with you. He will share his opulences with you. He will share everything he has with you. And that's how glorious the Supreme Lord is. So this is the second thing that we all need to do to solidify our bhakti. So the first thing is we must overcome the false identification we have with this body through knowledge and understand we are the spirit soul. And the second thing we have to do after we understood that we are the spirit soul is engage ourselves in devotional service, which is the constitutional nature of the Atma. Jivero Swarupo Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. And the third thing, when Vidura hears this, these words from Maitreya Rishi, he feels very happy. And he speaks some really beautiful things. He tells Maitreya Rishi, O powerful sage, my Lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities has now been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them. And he glorifies Maitreya Rishi and he says, Yat sevaya bhagavata kutastasya madhudvisha ratiraso bhavetivra padayor vyasanardhana. He says, by serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon and whose service vanquishes one's material distress. And then he says, the spotless devotees of the Lord have mentioned the source of such knowledge. How can one have knowledge of the devotion service and detachment without the help of such devotees? Vidura is giving us a third secret to solidify our bhakti. The third secret to solidify our bhakti is to have strong faith in the words of the spiritual master. Because the words of the spiritual master are not ordinary and the spiritual master himself is not ordinary. Look at the words Vidura is using over here. He is saying that my doubts have been removed by your convincing words. And he says, by serving the lotus feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy. and spotless devotees of the Lord mentioned the source of such knowledge. So he says, how can one develop devotional service and detachment without the help of such devotees? So Vidura is glorifying Maitreya Rishi, who is helping him with this kind of knowledge. When we are practicing the path of devotion, we all need inspiration. The inspiration comes from different types of teachers, both Siksha and Diksha gurus. The role of the teacher is to give us knowledge. But our role is to have faith in those teachers, faith in that knowledge. Only then we will be able to advance in our spiritual journeys. Only then we will be able to progress in our spiritual journeys. The more we have faith in the great devotees of the Lord, the more we can advance. One time, Ramanuja, he was in a place known as Melukote in Karnataka. And in that area, there was a very powerful scholar whose name was Arugadarajan. So Arugadarajan, he was a great Jain scholar and he had thousands of disciples. And when he came to know Ramanuja, a Vaishnava saint has come in that area, Arugadarajan, he wanted to debate with Ramanuja and defeat Ramanuja. So now, he told one of his disciples that go and get Ramanuja here, I want to defeat him. The disciples told their guru, actually, Ramanuja is just a social worker. He is not a scholar. He doesn't know vernacular grammar, he doesn't know Nyaya Shastra, or he doesn't know logic. I don't think you should, even think of defeating him because he is not worth even arguing with. So the disciples told him, actually he has two disciples who are great scholars in Shastra. Ramanuja never goes himself. He sends these two disciples who are great scholars. And those disciples who are great scholars, they go and defeat the others. And then Ramanuja claims the glory. So then this, Arukadarajan, he wanted to insult Ramanuja and expose Ramanuja to the world. So he, told his disciples, go and call Ramanuja for a debate. So the disciples went to Ramanuja and told Ramanuja that, our guru is calling you for a debate. Ramanuja said, I don't even look at the face of those who are materialistic and those who have deviated philosophies. Let my disciples go and defeat him. They expected that only. According to that, one of the disciples of Ramanujacharya, one of the great disciples of Ramanujacharya, went to argue with this, debate with this, Jain scholar. So when this disciple went, the moment he saw him, the scholar said, where is your guru, Ramanuja? He said, my guru does not look at those who are atheistic and those who are deviant from the Vedic scriptures. And that man, very smartly, he said, I knew Ramanuja will never come to debate against me because he's scared of me. He will only send his disciples because he is not good enough to fight against me, to debate me. This devotee got really, really insulted and he said, how dare you say this about my guru? I will make sure my guru comes and defeats you thoroughly. So Ramanuja was told all this and Ramanuja realized what is happening. So Ramanuja said, I still don't want to face him, but I want to defeat him. So he said, the only thing is that I will not see him, put a screen in front of me. So he said, I will not look at his face, but without looking at his face, from the other side of the screen, I will defeat all of them. And Ramanuja said, not just the guru, let all his disciples sit in front of me and I will, with a screen in front of me, defeat all of them. So it was agreed that Ramanuja will sit, there will be a screen that will be put in front of him, and in front of Ramanuja's, thousands of these Jain scholars are sitting and they're all going to, pose arguments and Ramanuja has to answer them. And then the debate began. The debate went on in such a way, nobody could believe what was happening. Ramanuja was sitting alone at the back. He told all his disciples, go in the front. I don't want any of you all to be at the back. Otherwise, people will assume that, you are answering instead of me. Nobody was at the back of Ramanuja or around Ramanuja anywhere. Everybody was in the front. And from the front, thousands of these people were throwing all kinds of questions at Ramanuja. And at the speed of the wind, Ramanuja was not just answering every question, but he was thoroughly defeating every argument. And he was speaking as if he had 1,000 mouths. One of the disciples of this Jain scholar, he felt something is wrong. He actually went to the back of the screen, and from a slight side, he just peeped in to see what was happening inside. And what he saw shocked him to the core. You know what he saw? He saw behind the screen was seated Ramanuja, but in place of Ramanuja, there was a 1,000-headed serpent, and from all the 1,000 heads, they were answering questions. And this man fainted, completely fainted. At the end of this entire debate that lasted for 21 days, this Jain scholar came and fell at the feet of Ramanuja, thoroughly accepted defeat, and he surrendered to him. He said, "Please make me your disciple." And Ramanuja eventually accepted this person as one of his disciples, and all those thousands of Jain scholars got converted to Vaishnavism after this massive discussion. Even today, there is a lake that commemorates this particular discussion, and there's a temple of Ramanuja on the side of that lake, where there's a deity of Ramanuja which is having these heads of snake of Adishesh. And Ramanuja himself was the snake bed of the Supreme Lord Adishesh. So the spiritual master is known by many names. Of the many names that the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord are known by, one of the names he is known as Bahu Shira. Bahu means multiple. Shira refers to the head. Bahu Shira means somebody who is capable of thinking more than many men. That's what the meaning of the word Bahu Shira is. The spiritual master has the ability to think beyond a normal human capacity. What normal human beings can think is very ordinary. Their realizations are very ordinary. Their understanding of the Shastras is very ordinary. Their comprehension of life is very ordinary. Their understanding and ability to argue, pose arguments, discuss, explain is very ordinary. But when somebody has the capacity of thousands of men together, that's a guru, that's a spiritual master. When we say that we must have faith in the words of the spiritual master, we must know the spiritual master has the capacity of thousands of men put together. He is unlimited in his capacity because he is empowered by the Supreme Lord. Imagine if Ramanuja, one of the spiritual masters in the lineage of disciplic successions, starting from Lord Krishna, is so powerful. What to speak of so many others? What to speak of Ramanujacharya's gurus? What to speak of Ramanujacharya's disciples? So many powerful spiritual masters in this world have been there. And the most amazing thing is that these are not ordinary people. One time, Arjun wanted to know from Krishna. He said, "We are your devotees and we meditate on you." He said, I have seen that you sit and you're also meditating. Whom do you meditate on? Arjuna really wanted to know, from Krishna, that whom are you meditating on? And Krishna explained to Arjun. He said, I have a long list. Arjun said, can you please tell me who are there in this list of people that you are meditating? And Krishna explained, prominently, there are 14 people in my list whom I regularly meditate on. And Lord Krishna, he explained, the 14 people that I regularly meditate on is first, Bhakta Prahlad. Second is Devarishi Narada. Third is Parashar Muni. Fourth is a sage named Bundarikar. Then there's fifth is Vedavyas. Sixth is King Ambarish. Seventh is the son of Vyasdev, Shukadeva Goswami. Eighth is sage Shaunaka, who has proposed the Puranas. Then ninth is Bhishma. 10th is a sage named Talapiyar. 11th is a king named Rukmantakan. And 12th is Arjun, one of the Pandavas. 13th is sage Vashishta. And 14th is Vibhishan. So he said, these are people that I meditate on regularly. The point that we're trying to say is that we are all meditating on the Supreme Lord, but the Supreme Lord Himself is meditating on His devotees. When we get the association of devotees and when we get to hear from the words of devotees, we must take it seriously and we must have faith in the words of our spiritual master and great devotees. When we have faith in the words of the spiritual master and great devotees, it impels us in our devotion and it helps us go ahead in our spiritual journeys. Whenever you are struggling in your spiritual journeys, whenever you are going through a down phase spiritually, simply do one thing: hear a pure devotee's words. It doesn't matter, which one of the devotees you want to hear. It depends on you, whom you are inspired by, whom you have faith in, whose words affect you and touch your hearts. Listen to them, and in a matter of a short duration of time, you will feel inspired, you will feel rejuvenated, you will feel alive once again. So the first thing we spoke about to solidify our bhakti is overcoming misidentification through knowledge. The second thing we spoke about is engaging in devotional service of the Lord. The third thing we spoke about is having faith in the words of the spiritual master. The fourth thing that Vidura and Maitreya are discussing is undertaking austerities to obtain the service of the Guru. There's a very beautiful verse that brings this up. I'll share this verse, then I explain what this, the fourth secret really means. This verse says, Durapahi alpatapasa seva vaikunta vartmaso yatro pagiyate nityam deva devo janardana. This verse says, persons whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of the pure devotees who are progressing on the path back to Godhead. Pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the demigods of the control of the living entities. This is a very simple thing. Many times people say that we want to do seva to sadhus, we want to do seva to Guru, to spiritual master, we want to do seva to great devotees, but we don't get any opportunity to do seva. What should we do? The answer is here. Undertake some austerities. When you undertake some austerities in your spiritual journey, you will obtain service to the Guru, service to the spiritual master, service to the devotees. Now you might say, how is it possible? I am staying somewhere, I am not staying close to my spiritual master, I am not staying close to any devotees. How will I get seva? Try doing it. This is the words of Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is saying very clearly, persons whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain service of pure devotees. What does it mean? That means if your austerity is less, you will not get service to pure devotees. But if you increase your austerity, you will get service to pure devotees. That's what it means. The Bhagavatam is telling us this clearly. Simply enhance your austerities. Whatever you're doing, do a little more. If you're doing now 4 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra, try doing 16 rounds. If you're doing Ekadasi, that's the only thing that you're doing, in terms of austerity, do other fasts. Take up fasting on festivals. If you're already doing Ekadasi fast, try to enhance your fast. Maybe you can just do a fruit fast, or you can do a nirjal fast. You can do whatever you want. Not just about fasting. Even in austerity could be many other things. Austerity could be not speaking prajalpa, not speaking gossip. It's a very big austerity today. If somebody does not speak gossip for like 1 week, my God, you can't imagine how much eagerness is there to start gossiping again. So that shows it's an austerity. So there are many types of austerity, subtle and gross, that you can undergo. And whenever you take up any austerities, especially the austerities that are not so easy for you to take up, then you automatically get opportunities to serve the spiritual master. A very beautiful story about austerities. When Duryodhan sent Durvas Muni to the Pandavas while they were in the forest, Durvas Muni comes when the Pandavas are eaten, and Draupadi had eaten from the Akshay Patra. So when the food in the Akshay Patra was over, Durvas Muni comes here and says, "I am hungry. Can you feed me?" The Pandavas had no source of feeding Durvas Muni. They were very confused and they were very bewildered, and they were wondering how to feed Durvas Muni. As they were wondering how to feed Durvas Muni at that point in time, um, Krishna walks in, and Krishna tells Draupadi, "Can you feed me also? I am also hungry." Draupadi is very confused. She says, "My dear Lord, Durvas Muni and his thousands of disciples are already waiting. I am not able to feed them, and you are asking me. I have nothing with me." Krishna said, "Get me a pot." So Draupadi went and got the Akshay Patra, and Krishna saw the Akshay Patra, and in that Akshay Patra, he saw a small particle of what do you call it? A shak or a palak or this green leafy vegetable stuck over there. It is not washed properly. So Krishna picked up that little green leafy vegetable and put it in his mouth. And when he ate that green leafy vegetable, all the devotees across, all in that whole area, everybody felt full, their stomach swelling, really bloated. And Durvas Muni and all of them ran away from there itself. And at that point in time, the Pandavas took shelter of Krishna. They thanked him for saving their lives. And then something very interesting happened. That palak, the little green leafy vegetable that went into Krishna's stomach, started a conversation with Krishna from within. The palak told Krishna, "My dear Lord, thank you for using me as an instrument in your pastimes." Krishna told the palak, he said, "I must thank you for helping me in the task of taking care of all my devotees." And he said, "O palak, because you have helped me take care of my devotees, I give you a boon that if my devotees fast, they can eat you and they will not break their fast." So from that time onwards, eating green leafy vegetables during fasting is considered to be not breaking fast. So this palak was not satisfied. He said, "My dear Lord, I thought you will give me mukti. I thought you will give me that as my, the boon." The Lord said, "I can't give you mukti directly." Palak said, "Why? Why can't you give mukti directly? Everything happens it's in your hand." So he said, the Krishna told that palak, that green leafy vegetables, he said, "I will give you mukti provided you come to me through the hands of a guru. When a guru offers you to me, then I'll give you liberation." So the palak had to wait for several hundreds of years to pass. And finally, by the grace of Krishna, one fine day, this palak plant sprouted in the house of a great saint named Vedanta Desikan. And Vedanta Desikan used to consume the leaves of this palak on fasting days like Ekadasi. One particular Ekadasi day, he saw this particular palak plant and he plucked it. And then he offered it to the Supreme Lord. And when he offered that palak to the Supreme Lord, instantly the Supreme Lord granted him liberation. This particular palak is just like all of us. We all want liberation. We all want perfection of our lives. But the perfection of our lives comes through the grace of the spiritual master. But for us to get the grace of the spiritual master, we must get opportunity to serve the spiritual master. And how do we get the opportunity to serve the spiritual master? The opportunity to serve the spiritual master comes when we perform some austerities. So this is the fourth limb or the fourth secret to solidify your bhakti. Enhance your austerities. Whatever you can do. You don't have to stretch yourself. You don't have to strain yourself. You don't have to do something that will, disturb you, your body, or make you very weak or anything like that. Whatever you can, you do. Do a little more than what you can. A little discomfort may not be good for the body and the mind, but it is very good for the soul. The path of austerity is something that the scriptures have always recommended. But the path of austerity should not make our hearts hard. It should not make us proud. It should make one humble, and it should be done in the right attitude. And when we perform austerities, and those austerities will attract the grace of the spiritual master in our life, it will give us the opportunity to serve the spiritual master. And finally, the fifth thing, Vidura and Maitreya are having this conversation, and this is the last part of the conversation. Vidura is concluding the conversation by glorifying Maitreya Rishi in this way. He says, Artha bhavan vineschitya pratitasyapi natmanah tam chapi yusmak charana sevayam paranude. He says, but my dear sir, I am obliged to you because now I can understand this material world is a manifestation is without substance. Although it appears to be real, I am confident by serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea. So we all began by talking about, overcoming false identification through knowledge. And then we spoke about engaging in devotional service. And then we spoke about having faith in the words of the spiritual master. And then we spoke about performing austerities that will give us opportunity to serve the spiritual master. And now we're speaking about developing deep realization through service to the spiritual master. Vidura at this point of time is talking about realizing the knowledge that he has gained from Maitreya. See, many people attend classes. Many people hear lectures. Many people read books. Many people have a lot of knowledge. But there's a very big difference between having knowledge and having realization of that knowledge. Today, simply with AI, ChatGPT and so many AI tools, we can get whatever we want. Just because somebody has got access to information and knowledge doesn't mean they actually have realization of that knowledge. There's a very big difference between knowledge and realization, information and transformation. That difference can be, that gap can be bridged if we engage in service to the Guru or the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada had many, many disciples, and many of whom are such evolved, exalted and highly self-realized souls. And many of them, the way they experience transformation is incredible. I'm going to share one such story. Srila Prabhupada had one disciple whose name was Barsana Maharaj. Now, Barsana Maharaj is not an ordinary person. He was a multi-millionaire and he just gave up everything and he came to a place like New Vrindavan, stayed there for many years. And while he stayed in New Vrindavan, when he was brand new devotee in New Vrindavan, he had just joined, he was told that you have to, he was shown a mountain, massive mountain there. He was said that you have to break down this mountain and in place of the mountain create a lake. Barsana Maharaj had no idea what it means to break down a mountain and create a lake. He said, what? How can anyone break down a mountain and create a lake? They said, this is your service. And he was given a big bulldozer. He had never used a bulldozer in his life. And he asked, where is my assistant? He said, no one, only your service. Every day in the morning, he would attend Mangalarti, finish his japa. And in fact, he would finish his japa before Mangalarti. Attend Mangalarti, and after Mangalarti, he would go to work. And he worked for 8 years sitting on a bulldozer, breaking down a mountain. And in a matter of 8 long years, he actually broke that mountain down and created a lake. If you go to New Vrindavan even today, there's a large lake right in front of the temple. That lake was created by Barsana Maharaj, single-handedly. One man broke down an entire mountain and created a lake over there simply because he was told by his teachers, he was told by his authorities. He was doing it simply because he loved Srila Prabhupada. He loved his guru, his spiritual master. And because he knew that service to the spiritual master is everything. He did that every single day. He never got time to go and read Bhagavatam. He never got time to go and hear classes. There was no YouTube at that point in time. There was no way that he could listen to lectures easily. There was no time for him to read books. The only thing he did was chant his rounds, attend Mangalarti and go and serve. One day, after many years, he was told, you have to give the class today, the Bhagavatam class. This devotee was shocked. He said, how? I have never attended Bhagavatam classes. What to speak of giving? I have never read Prabhupada's books. I really don't know. How can I give classes? They told him, go there, sit there and pray to Prabhupada and speak. First class that he ever spoke in his life. He sat there on the Vyasasan, took shelter of Srila Prabhupada's pranati, and then began to speak. That day, he spoke for 2 hours non-stop, straight. And he was speaking such deep things that people were shocked. They were wondering, where did you learn this? Where did you hear this? He said, I don't know. Words were just coming out from my mouth. I was just speaking and I didn't even know how I was speaking these words. I don't even have these realizations in my head. I don't know what. Something inside me was just telling me to speak these words. This is what happens when you have what is called the power of attorney from the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada, he spoke about something very beautiful. He said, the example that he gave was, just like there may be many qualified lawyers, but even if one is a qualified lawyer, he must get a power of attorney from the client. Only then he can speak in the court. That is the law. Similarly, without being endowed by the power of attorney from Krishna, it is not possible to preach. Srila Prabhupada will say that. So he says, because we are preparing ourselves to preach Krishna consciousness, we must be qualified to get the power of attorney. Sometimes we speak and think that I am preaching. What will you preach if you don't have the power of attorney? Preaching is not just about giving your knowledge out. Preaching is about giving out realizations that come from deep within your heart. When you have Krishna in your heart, you can give it and people will become devotees immediately. And that can happen when we have the power of attorney from the spiritual master. When the spiritual master has given us the power of attorney, saying that go and preach. When the authorities have given the power of attorney that go and preach. When you preach under the direction of the authorities, direction of the spiritual master, direction of great souls, then your words become empowered. Srila Prabhupada, would say something very, very sweet. One time there were some devotees coming to him and he was distributing cookies to them. And each devotee who was coming to him to receive cookies from Srila Prabhupada, they would offer obeisances to Prabhupada and then receive cookie from Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, simply by voluntarily offering obeisances to the spiritual master, immediately you become 50% advanced. What do we have to do to advance in our spiritual journeys? Simply go and offer obeisances to the spiritual master every day. Simply by offering obeisance to the spiritual master, we become advanced. Simply by seeking shelter of the spiritual master, serving the spiritual master, we get empowered to speak. Simply getting the power of attorney from the spiritual master, we become empowered to share knowledge in ways that we can't even imagine. In the Ramayana, we find Shabari, who was empowered by her spiritual master Matanga Rishi, that Matanga Rishi told her that Ram will come. And then eventually, by the words of the Matanga Rishi, Lord Ram did come to Pampa Sarovar and meet Shabari. And when Ram met Shabari, something amazing happened. Ram sat with Shabari and he ate the fruits that Shabari was offering him. It's amazing. If you study the Valmiki Ramayana, throughout the Ramayana, if you study, Ram never ate anything that anybody offered. Guha tried to offer him, Ram didn't eat there. Bharadwaj Muni tried to offer him, Ram didn't eat there. Sharabanga Rishi tried to offer him, Ram didn't eat there. So many sages tried to offer him different things at different instances. Ram didn't eat in any of those places. But when Shabari offered fruits to Ram, Ram ate immediately. Ram would only eat if Lakshman offered. But in this particular case, Ram made an exception and he ate what Shabari offered. Why? Because Shabari had a guru, Matanga Rishi. Guha didn't have a guru. And so many others that were offering Ram, they were not told by their guru to offer Ram. So here is a very interesting story where Shabari was told by her guru to serve Ram. So when we are told by our spiritual master to serve the Supreme Lord, the Lord accepts our offerings. So whenever we try to engage in devotional service, we must engage by the blessings of the spiritual master, by the authority of the spiritual master, by the empowerment of the spiritual master. So here Vidura is sharing his realization over here about Maitreya Rishi. He said, I am obliged to you because now I can understand this material manifestation without substance. And he says, I am confident by serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up this false idea. So all of us, we want to advance in our spiritual journeys, but we are struggling. One of the most powerful ways to develop realization so that you can advance in your spiritual journey is by serving the feet of the spiritual master. And what does it mean by serving the feet of the spiritual master? When you get an opportunity to directly serve the feet of the spiritual master, you must. That is physical service. Vapu, serving the body of the spiritual master, serving the personality of the spiritual master. But if you can't do that, assist in the mission of the spiritual master. That is as good as serving in the physical presence of the spiritual master. Assist in some project, assist in some desire of his. Do something on behalf of the spiritual master. Preach on behalf of the spiritual master. Bring good name to the spiritual master. Do something on behalf of the guru. Every spiritual master has some desire to fulfill the mission of his spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada had a burning desire to fulfill the instructions of his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. All those who helped him, Prabhupada said, I am so grateful to them. They are sent to me by my guru. So every spiritual master has some desires, not for themselves, for the mission of the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord, for the pleasure of the parampara. Assisting in that desire will bring us the blessings of the parampara, and that will bring us realization. So, in this whole chapter, we learn 5 things which can help us solidify our devotion. First, we must overcome misidentification of this physical body by the process of gaining knowledge through studying of the scriptures. The second, by when we want to overcome this bodily misidentification, it's easy to understand I'm not the body. But then what next? If you're not the body of a spirit soul, then we must engage in devotional service, which is the activity of the spirit soul. And when we engage in devotional service, we must have faith in the words of the spiritual master, because through the words of the spiritual master, we will know how to engage in devotional service. And when we engage in devotional service, we will always need shelter of the spiritual master and need to render service to the spiritual master. But for that, we must perform austerities so that we can get opportunities to serve the spiritual master. And when we perform austerities, which gives us opportunities to serve the lotus feet of the spiritual master, then we develop the realization to understand the knowledge that we have gained, realization to digest the knowledge that we have gained, realization to be empowered to speak in a way that can cause transformation in others' hearts and in our own hearts. With this, we come to the end of this chapter of Vidura Maitreya Samvad, and with this, we learn these 5 most powerful secrets of Bhakti. Very, very grateful to all of you all for being here in these applied Bhagavatam classes. I'm so grateful for having this opportunity to share with all of you all the message of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in a way that is simple, in a way that is practical to understand, in a way that you can apply and you can digest the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in bits and pieces in a way that you can immediately put it into action. If all of you are pleased with this endeavor and the service that I'm trying to do, please offer a small prayer so that I can continue doing the service in the best consciousness and give you all little bit of my understanding of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki